Welcome, dead and lovely listeners, to my sexy, congested phlegm voice.
And welcome to my not at all congested voice.
I sound like Flava Flav or something.
Do you?
Yeah, I think I kind of do.
He's a bit more shrill.
A little more
Flava
froggy
Flav.
sounding,
Yeah.
I guess. But yeah, this is...
Yeah, boy!
This is what happens when Uncle Ben gets really excited and is like, yay, fall is here. It's getting a chill in the air and that it's cooling down and stuff. And then it's like 2 days in, full-blown sinus infection.
Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome to the phlegmiest ever episode of Dead and Lovely. Here's the hostess most. It's me, Uncle Ben.
And me, Hollywood Steve.
Woo! Woo! This is our first
Just
ever...
blew out somebody's ears.
Yeah.
I apologize.
This is our first ever simultaneous YouTube cast.
Hey!
Is that a word for that?
Yeah, we just made it up. YouTube cast.
Look at you.
You're over there. We
This
see
is
you. Hi.
this is what we look like while we record our moderately entertaining podcast on the
We
weekly.
always have pumpkins on the table.
Yeah, and there's always a beer in a glass.
There is always a beer in a glass. That's true.
This time a pretentious Waka Flocka Flame.
Yeah, a New England IPA.
It's hooking me up yet good.
Real nice. Yeah,
I
nice
guess
and juicy.
The only real difference is we're usually holding hands across the table.
Yeah, we didn't want to do that because it would ruin the focus.
Yeah. Well, and to make up for it, we are playing the maddest footsie.
Yeah.
Underneath the table.
I've ejaculated several times.
It is getting hot and steamy.
Oh, there goes another one.
Oh, man, look at you. You're regular L. Ron Hubbard over there, just
That's
popping
me.
them off
Coming
left and
8
right.
times a night. L. Ron Hubbard.
So we are here because we just saw the 2018 Halloween.
We did.
And we're here to talk about it and give you guys a non-spoilerific review.
We're going to avoid spoilers, so if
Yeah.
you're worried, don't worry. Anything we say, you
safe
can
in our
see in the
hands.
trailers or is innocuous. It won't be a big deal. We'll definitely avoid telling you that Austin Powers shows up at the end.
Oh,
and,
man. I
and
was dying.
invites Laurie Strode to join the SHIELD initiative. It's real weird.
And then Eddie Murphy as the Nutty Professor shows up, but also the lady and the kid.
Mm-hmm.
The Hercules
They're all
thing.
there.
Yeah.
Hercules.
I mean, the licensing cost must have been astronomical.
Must have been.
Worth it.
But hey,
Worth every
it was
penny.
great. Danny McBride really put his influence in there.
He knows comedy.
He knows comedy.
He knows comedy. He knows where to put
what's
it.
more comedy than the clumps?
So we'll be giving you guys a special non-spoiler-filled mini review. Of course, later on, whenever this thing comes out.
Oh,
like,
yeah, we'll get into it.
on hard copy. Yeah, we'll do a full-length deep dive like we like to do here on Dead and Lovely. But for the special mini episode, the movie just came out. We just saw it like an hour ago.
Right.
And we wanted to give you guys our hot off the presses, deep thoughts.
Yeah.
And also, we had to do it while I still have this sexy
Yeah,
voice.
that's true. We didn't want you to lose all the sex in your voice.
It'll be gone by morning, I'm pretty sure.
That'd be a shame.
It'll be a real shame. But for now, at least it's immortalized forever. So, Steve, first impressions, how do you feel? Because, as our listeners know, Halloween 1, the original 1978,
A classic.
is
Love
one
it.
of our all-time favorites. To me, that
It's up
is a 10 out of 10 movie.
It's a great, perfect slasher movie.
Exactly. And on the show this week, we reviewed Halloween 2, which
And we
is
did not like.
not very good.
No, it's not.
I know a lot of our listeners will disagree with us there, but
That's fine. You can
That's
disagree, and I hope you continue enjoying it.
I hope you burn in hell.
Yes, they deserve to die.
And this is a direct sequel to our beloved Part 1.
It is. It is ignoring all of the other movies. So if you love all the other movies, you may have been a little disappointed to hear that.
But if you love all the other movies, you might not like things that are nice.
Yeah, most of those movies are real bad.
Most of them are
3,
really bad.
I like the creativity of it.
I
It's
love
not
3.
a great movie, but
Yeah.
it's fun.
It's a lot of fun. And there's parts of 4 that are
Parts
okay.
of 4 are okay. I really liked some elements of that, but it just got weird
Oh, yeah.
after a while.
And then the other ones are just horrible.
And I have said before, I do like the zombie remakes, but I just have to think
like a
of them
different
as
movie.
completely
Yeah.
different movies that aren't Halloween.
Yeah, they weren't canon from the get-go.
Yeah, no,
So
they were
don't
never
even
meant to
count.
be.
Yeah. So knowing that this is a follow-up to our beloved, what's your first impression? How do you feel? Do you feel like it's a good continuation, or do you
Yes.
feel ripped off? You good?
I felt great. I think, going into it, I had high hopes, but low expectations.
Yeah, exactly the same.
Yeah.
Exactly the same. Whenever I saw some of the cast and crew and
Yep.
saw that Carpenter was doing the soundtrack.
That made me very happy.
Yeah, that let me know it's like, okay, the man's got faith in the project.
Yeah, and that Nick Castle came back to do some of the Michael Myers, a lot of the acting.
Unmasked parts and stuff.
A lot of the actual acting part is Nick Castle. And then we have the stunt man doing the hard stunt stuff because Nick Castle's an old man.
He's an old man.
And he has a separate career that doesn't involve doing stunts.
Right. I agree with you. I don't feel like this is at all a letdown.
No.
Again, I didn't go into this saying this is going to top the original. I know it. Because I think if you go in with that expectation, it's not going to happen. You know what I mean? Like, you're definitely not going to match the OG.
I fell in love with the camera there for a second.
Oh, I can't blame you. Well, those guys are hot, dude. Fucking studs on that thing. But, it's like, I didn't go in thinking that this was going to beat the original. That's impossible.
No, and I don't want it to. I don't need it to.
Yeah, exactly.
But what I wanted it to do was to be a competent sequel of the original.
Yeah, because so many of the other ones are incompetent.
Yes.
Like, completely missed the point, missed the vibe, missed everything of the original.
But I think this is a great sequel. I think if you like Halloween 2, you will not be disappointed by this. Because a lot of what comes into this are some of the elements from Halloween 2.
Sure, yeah.
Now, this is
a traumatized Laurie Strode, a Mike Myers still on the loose.
Right. And
that's roughly 2.
And what 2 kind of misses is that Michael Myers didn't have any real motive ever for his kills.
Yeah.
What this movie does is reassumes that Michael Myers has no motive. He just likes killing.
Yeah, exactly. He's just born soulless and evil and stuff. Yeah, with 2, the big twist that they're brother and sister and he's trying to kill his own family and stuff, I just found completely unnecessary. And like we said on the show...
So did John Carpenter.
Yeah, and it cheapens all the kills of the babysitters and stuff.
Does.
It's like, if he's out to kill his sister, why'd he kill all these other people just for the hell of it?
Right.
I think it kind of discredits all the other deaths that happen in part 1. So I'm glad that with this movie they retconned all that.
Yes.
And they're like, oh, the brother-sister thing, that's just a rumor.
Yeah, they do mention that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, there you'll see some stuff from almost shot for shot sort of framing and the way that certain things go are from part 2.
Yeah, definitely. But there's a kid in a pirate costume.
Yeah, pirate costume. But like we said on our Halloween 2 episode, like we came up with some ways that you could have fixed Halloween 2, and that's really what they did with using some of those parts. Is they were taking the good from Halloween 2 and just tweaking it and fixing it and making it so that Michael Myers is still motivationless. He just wants to kill.
Yeah, exactly. And the basic story of the movie is that 40 years after the original events, we have a super traumatized Laurie Strode who has become basically like Linda, what's her name? Linda Hamilton from T2.
Yeah, Linda Hamilton in T2. Yeah,
she's basically that. She's like,
she's got a bunker with weapons and everything.
She's kind of crazy. She's a little wackadoo. And in this movie, she has had a daughter and a granddaughter, but she's kind of estranged from them because she's the crazy lady whose past has like ruined her life, basically.
Yeah.
And we have, and again, this isn't really spoilers because you see it happen in the trailer.
Yeah,
of course, Myers gets loose.
Yes.
To try to continue his
Otherwise,
his dirty
what would
work.
the movie be?
Yeah, exactly. And so not only do we have Laurie, who is out to complete her life's work of killing Mike Myers and putting an end to this once and for all, but you also have that she's trying to protect her family from this evil she's been warning them about her entire life, and even to the point that she's ruined her own daughter's life and stuff.
Yeah, that dynamic. There are 2 dynamics that really push the movie, and that is Laurie and Michael, and Laurie and her family.
Yeah, definitely.
And the way that they represent Laurie is that she, basically in this movie, she has become in some ways like Michael. Yeah. She's the hunter. She's the stalker.
Much. Yeah. And they even make reference to that in the way that she replicates some of the shots and stuff in the original.
You'll notice it if you know part 1 or part 2. You'll notice a lot of shots that are replicated, but with the roles reversed. Where Laurie is in the Michael Myers role. It's real interesting. It's a real good bookend to all of the mediocrity in the middle. Yeah, like it's a perfect taking up of the end of part 1.
Yeah.
But it doesn't entirely ignore the series. It just, you know, it sees new ways to make those things good.
Right.
And I like that about it a lot.
What do you think about Jamie Lee Curtis back as Laurie Strode?
Oh, she's so good.
I think she crushed it.
So
I think
good.
She did awesome.
Yeah, she's still vulnerable, but not like her vulnerabilities are the things that she hates about herself. Like
right.
she's trying to constantly be protected.
Yeah.
But it of course leads to, I mean, in this she has been an alcoholic and agoraphobic, so she's suffering from those things. Those are her weaknesses.
Yeah.
And she's constantly thinking Michael is going to get out at some point.
Right. And I even like some of the small details they put into her character, even in terms of the way that she looks and stuff, where you can tell even by her hairstyle, which is very much like what she had in the original. And she's even wearing like bell-bottom jeans at some point, just to show she has not moved on.
No.
Whatsoever from the trauma that happened to her back then.
Determined her life.
Yeah.
That one traumatic event.
And there's constantly people in the movie that seem to just be telling her, man, just get over it. Man, you should talk with Michael.
Yeah.
You know, move on. And it's like, you know, me not ever having been a victim of anything really awful ever happening to me, I cannot relate or anything like that, but I can only imagine that if you've been through some life-altering trauma, having people tell you should just get over it or you should make peace with your attacker, this person that ruined your life, must be extremely, extremely hard.
I have been there. I've been there after I got hobo sliced for the camera.
Got your neck cut by a hobo.
Got a little hobo sliced by a guy who was robbing my house. It was one of the things that led me to eventually becoming not Mormon.
Wow.
For sure.
Yeah.
The way that people responded with just like, you know, you got to move on and stuff.
Oh,
and it's like, it happened a week. What do you move on? Like, it just happened.
He cut your neck muscles.
Yeah. So I was a little worried about death.
Yeah. A little bit. Or like getting, you know, God knows what disease from a bum's box cutter.
I did get an infection. That was the worst.
Yeah, so you've had yourself some very near death trauma. So in that case,
I wouldn't be interested in meeting that guy, I don't think. But of course it's not the same thing as with Michael. With Michael it becomes personal for her. Because he killed 2 of her friends and tried to kill her. They become inseparably connected.
Yeah.
And that is what this movie kind of gets at. One of its major themes is that trauma connects the traumatizer and the traumatized inseparably.
The attacker
and that's
the victim.
Part of the trauma is that the victim can't escape it and the attacker gets to relive it.
Yeah, wow.
Which is what he wants to do. He wants to relive it, and that is, I mean, without spoiling anything, that is this movie.
Yeah.
It's him trying to
recreate
relive
that night.
Yep.
And you know, something that you were saying a second ago about again, that dynamic between the attacker and the victim, and even what I was talking about a second ago about Laurie's trauma never really fading.
Yeah.
I even like how, and this is just a nice coincidence of Michael's costume, I like that while we see an older, gray-haired Laurie Strode, Mike, the attacker,
looks the same.
He looks identical. Yeah, it's like jumpsuit, mask. It's like
the mask is a little more worn, but
but the trauma is just as fresh as it was 40 years ago. It's like her attacker looks exactly like he did that night that he ruined her life.
Exactly.
I think that's really strong and very, very dark.
It is very dark. This movie gets into some real dark themes. And real. It's real brutal.
Yeah.
We should probably talk about some of that brutality. We won't tell you anyone who gets killed, but there are some real great kills.
There's some great kills, but at the same time, I don't feel like they're so over the top that it's like, oh man, they were just trying to, get in the same gross out league as like Hostel or like modern horror stuff that's just like splatter gore, torture porn kind of stuff. They're all pretty basic slasher kills.
They are, yeah. He's not doing any. It's not like in Halloween 2. There's no hot tub kill or a person getting drained of their blood. Anything.
Exactly.
It's slasher kills, knives,
hammers.
His hands and feet are
boots.
Yeah.
He's got a strong boot on.
He's got a real strong boot, and you'll find out about that.
He'll let loose some scrambled eggs out of somebody's noggin without even trying.
That's for sure.
Man alive. Yeah, the kills are great, and there's even quite a bit of off-screen violence.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was cut because it was probably too violent to still get an R rating.
Yeah, I wonder, because there's definitely, like, you can tell that they definitely counted their chips and were like, let's put this one kill in there that's ultra brutal, and we'll have to nick out some of the other ones, but that's okay, because we get to keep the really nasty one. I
mean, anyone who's seen the trailer knows the teeth scene where he just sort of drops some teeth over the bathroom stall. You get to see the aftermath of where he got those teeth, but you don't get to see that kill, and that I bet they filmed that because
I wonder,
that effect looked, just the aftermath of it looked awesome.
It
was like, that was early in the movie too, and it was one of those moments where I was like, oh, this is gonna get brutal.
Exactly. And you know why it looked so damn good? Because it was real.
Practical.
It was practical.
Yep. Everything in this, I think, is practical. As far
I can't imagine there being any CGI in this movie. And that's the kind of thing where it's like, honestly, you shouldn't even have to make that concession. Because when you're talking about a slasher movie where a guy is killing people with knives and hammers and stuff like this, there shouldn't be CG.
Yeah. That would be ridiculous. Like, why?
Yeah.
You got knives. Like, since the 70s, we've been able to make convincing knife kills. Like,
yeah, exactly.
You can do it now for cheap, and it looks good.
Definitely. Yeah, so I was very on board with the kills and the effects. And I'll also say, too, just in general, the look of the movie,
it's great.
I think looks fantastic. I think the movie looks great. I think that it's really got a kind of a timelessness about it. Like, whenever you watch, like, Halloween 4 and stuff, you're like, okay, I know exactly when this was made.
Exactly, yeah.
You know? Other than stuff like cell phones and things like that, maybe some of the references, pop culture references and stuff, there's not a lot that really dates this movie.
No, it seems it's one that could be timeless.
Yeah.
If people catch on to this, if people agree with us about this movie, this is one of those movies people will look back on fondly for years.
Yeah, I think so. And especially, dude, all the scenes that happen in the nighttime in the neighborhood, which actually, just like the original Halloween, I would say like 65% of the movie is at one night in one neighborhood on Halloween.
Yeah.
And again, that was one of my big complaints about part 2. Yeah, it's like it's the day after Halloween and it's in a beige hospital. How Halloweeny that is.
The environment is just terrible, etc. Yeah, this does bring back, and we talked about this in our top 5 great things about Halloween video. The atmosphere of the original Halloween.
Yeah,
this movie brings back that atmosphere.
Definitely. There's kids running around trick or treating. You see some kids in the Silver Shamrock Mask in part 3, which I was so stoked about.
I like that. I was glad. There's some Easter eggs from 2, 3, and 4 for sure.
Yeah, and I think even beyond that, because even that bathroom stall kill is really similar to one in H2O.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so there's even like little things that are recreated from other flicks in the franchise.
So yeah, if you're one of the people out there who was worried, like, well, they're ignoring all the other movies, they're not entirely ignoring them. Yeah, they're just creating a sequel that works perfectly well with the first movie. Yeah, because there's no way to make a sequel that works with all of them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I love that this, in a lot of ways, too, like, especially, again, the Halloween night segment of the movie is so much back to the feel of the original, where we've got teenage girls babysitting kids, talking with the kids, hanging out. That kid, Julius, is awesome and needs his own movie. I want that kid in a movie.
I would say because Danny McBride co-wrote this. Okay. Danny McBride, of course, we all know from Eastbound and Down. Powers. He's Kenny fucking Powers. Yeah. Also from Hot Rod and tons of other things.
Yeah.
So there is a little humor in this, but I was surprised how much they held it back.
And I'm so glad. Because I feel like so many movies now, it's like almost like in a post-Avengers world, where it's like they figured out you can make a serious driving storyline, but then also
have humor,
be witty and stuff like this. And then so many franchises, like pretty much everything DC has ever done, adds in this stupid forced comedy.
It doesn't work. Yeah, Justice League is full of that.
Yeah, and I've seen some people complaining about the humor elements of this movie. I think they're pretty well done.
I think they're great. I liked Julius and what's her name, Vicky.
Yeah,
Vicky,
they were great.
Who's like the Annie Brackett character in this, I guess, or maybe PJ Soul's character or whatever her name was.
Yeah, they had a very believable. Like, they had worked together. She'd babysit that kid a bunch of times before. They had a great rapport.
And they're really funny together. Yeah. They say some funny stuff. There's some good humor. Some those two cops that are sitting and talking about Bon Me.
Yeah.
The other cop isn't into it. That's funny, but also it's not distracting.
Yeah.
Because it leads up to a point. Like, there's a reason why that they're sitting there having a bullshit conversation about nothing, and then something happens.
Right.
Yeah, I really liked it. I liked the humor element to it that never intrudes too much.
Right. Yeah, definitely. And on the subject of the cinematography and stuff too.
Oh gosh,
man,
it looks great.
There's so many scenes in the movie that, in my opinion, look fantastic and really pull you into the moment. The scene where, again, no spoilers, the scene where Jamie Lee Curtis is searching through a house.
Yeah, she's looking through a house.
And she's got a flashlight.
She's got a gun.
And it's playing with all these shadows in the room, just exactly as it would be. Where like, you're looking at everything on screen going like,
kind of reminded me of Silence of the Lambs, the tension.
Oh, yeah.
He's got the night
vision goggles.
And he knows where he is. She's looking around and everything is so perfectly tense.
Yeah, definitely. And you can't really tell. There's scenes where you're like struggling to see what's going on. Like I see some people, kind of like The Witch, where it's like there's stuff in The Witch sometimes where you're like, what is going on?
It's wonderfully dark, where it keeps you in the dark as to what's going on. Because like that's the feeling you're supposed to get, not that they just didn't shoot with enough light.
Exactly. And I feel like some people will miss that and be like, I can't tell what's going on here.
That's true. Some people are going to disagree with us on that, but I think it was intentional.
It pulled me right in, man.
Yeah.
And even the scenes of the granddaughter like running through the neighborhood and stuff like that, where it was so dark and it's like, Myers is somewhere around here, but it's dark and you can't see the motion light scene and everything. So well done. Like I love all the darkness that's in the movie, because even the original is also quite dark. There's a lot of shots where it's just the silhouette of Mike Myers, the shape, right? The shape of him like coming across the street or walking in front of a house. And I really love that they figured out that's something that's cool that we should use again.
Yeah, this movie is the culmination of 40 years of thinking about what would have been a good Halloween 2.
I think so.
And it's people that really dug into it and really got to the core of what made the first Halloween good. Yeah. And I think they replicated it well. I'm not going to say this is like a perfect movie or anything. We had some issues. There's we won't say what the twist is, but there is a twist at a certain point that I didn't dig.
Yeah. And it even at the point that it happened, I could feel my stomach drop, because I was like, please don't tell me they're about to ruin this movie, because I was on board. Yeah. And there's this twist that happens, and you can look back and understand that they had it there for a specific reason to move certain characters to other areas, but it just seems like there was a cleaner way to do it.
Yes, there would have been.
There had to.
There would have been.
It's like another day of working on that script. You probably could have had a better idea of how to move this to this. There is a somewhat philosophical element to what happens there that we'll explore later on.
Yes, and it's not terrible. Yeah, we could talk about it more, especially in a longer review. But there's an element to the twist that makes sense. And is interesting.
If you look at the subtext of the movie being about surviving attack and stuff like that. Yeah.
There's also a pretty extended scene where the kids are having a Halloween dance that it serves a purpose.
It serves a purpose, I suppose.
But I think you could have done the same thing that dance scene does without having such a long dance scene.
Exactly. Well, but because ultimately,
and by the way, I'm not saying that there's a dance number or anything.
No,
they don't. It's not a Bollywood movie.
There are some cheerleaders that do have a synchronized dance.
That is true.
That kind of do.
I wonder if there's a Bollywood movie called Balloween.
God. Trademark Dead and Lovely right now. Trademark Dead and Lovely. This is ours. Balloween.
Balloween.
I love it, man. But yeah, that whole thing, like you said, is ultimately to set up. I think I could say it. Getting rid of a cell phone.
It's to get rid of a cell phone. Yeah. That's all. I mean,
the constant plague of every current horror movie set right now.
Any movie set now, you have to figure out a way to get rid of cell phones.
Exactly.
And that's the only reason for the dance scene, really.
Yeah, definitely so.
But it works. I mean, but there seems like there could have been shorter, simpler ways to do it.
Yeah, I think so. Those two things, I think, were really my biggest complaints about the movie.
Yeah, and those aren't really big complaints.
They're not that big. I mean, they still move the plot somewhere. It's just that it could have been done a little bit better, I think. You know? I think Carpenter nailed it with the soundtrack. I think the soundtrack is awesome. Man.
Re-recorded it. I think his son worked with him on it and someone else. But yeah, it's great. It incorporates some of the stuff from Halloween 2 for sure. Brings in some of that, but it is so much like the original, and really blends in the way that the score did with the original. Really blends in throughout the movie.
And a lot of the soundtrack is like all synthesizers and stuff, just like the original, of course. Only they are slightly more modern, bigger, richer synth sounds. I mean, it doesn't sound like a damn Deadmau5 did the soundtrack. It's a dubstep remix. It's not like that at all. Yeah, it's not like that, but it sounds slightly more modern. But it still feels very late 70s, early 80s. And I was initially kind of worried because you remember a couple weeks ago they put out that thing that was like the first song released off the soundtrack. It was like Myers Returns or something like that, and it sounded basically just like the original Halloween theme, just re-recorded. And I was like, okay, so this is pretty much the same. Yeah. So I was thinking that most of the soundtrack would just be retreads directly like that, but there is some new stuff in there that even added in things that were playing around with the motif of the intervals in the signature Halloween theme.
Oh, okay.
The distances between the notes. There were things in the soundtrack that played with those, but it wasn't bum 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 bum, you know? And I like to, and I might be mistaken about this, but I'm pretty sure that there's a scene with some people in a truck and they're listening to music on the radio. It sounds like there is an actual version of the song that Lori sings in part 1, where she's like, I wish I had you all of my own, or whatever.
Man.
It sounds like there's a real version of that song that they made. Yeah, because Jamie Lee Curtis improvised that.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
I didn't know it either. I was watching the thing recently, and John Carpenter's like, sing something, and she's like, anything? And he's like, no, you have to make something up so it'll be license free.
Right, yeah.
So she made that up on the spot.
Oh my God, that's so perfect too. Like the shot is like her singing that's like what Michael was thinking about her. Yeah,
it's cool. And again, it might just be wishful thinking, but I swear it sounded like there's like a slow country version and a woman singing, and it sounded like she said, I wish I had you all to my own.
That's awesome.
Pretty damn cool, in my opinion. So again, a cool little callback to the first one, if you're listening for it. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that was in there.
I would believe you. Because I think they took pains to... because when you do say we're going to ignore all the sequels, you understand, especially if you're a fan of the series, why people would be upset with that. So I think they took pains to make sure to pay service to those fans.
Yeah.
To remind them, like, look, we love Halloween 2.
Right.
What we wanted to do was just an alternate universe where this is the sequel.
I'll put it this way. A lot of the deep cuts in there are deep enough that if you like the sequels enough to get pissed off about this, then you'll catch all the references.
Exactly.
And be like, okay, they like them too.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, overall, I would say go see this movie.
Yeah, I definitely loved it.
Get out there. Like, there's no reason not to if you're a Halloween fan. And if you're just a horror movie fan, it's a great horror movie. Like, it's the type of slasher that we haven't seen for a while.
No, it's not a hyper ridiculously brutal movie that has no point or anything like that. No character, no story.
All right, Ben. So, what are your overall thoughts on Halloween 2018, I guess we're calling it?
I think it's very confusing that there are now 3 films called Halloween.
That is confusing.
And I hate that I'm always going to have to say Halloween, the original. Halloween, the Rob Zombie. Halloween, the 2018. It's like, damn it. Like, so I don't like that about it.
No, that's not great.
But overall, I really dig the movie. Again, I've only watched it once. I'm still kind of in the afterglow.
Yeah, we just watched it.
I usually kind of have a habit of like loving a movie as soon as I watch it, and then later on thinking about it and being like, wait a second.
Fuck that.
Yeah, exactly. So sometimes that's a problem for me. But as of right now, after having talked about it a little bit here and thought about it on the drive home and stuff, I really dig it. I think that if you have always loved the original but been disappointed by the sequels, I think that you'll like this. I think that I can say it's probably the best one since part 1.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah. And I would say overall that it is the part 2 that you would want.
Yeah,
it's the one that John Carpenter didn't see any reason for a Halloween 2. Kind of got forced into it.
Yeah.
This is the type of thing that brought him back to give his okay. Yeah, I mean, they didn't need John Carpenter's approval, but he did come back and gave his approval. He liked what they did with it.
Yeah.
And I agree. Like, they really made a good sequel that does a lot of stuff that you want out of a Halloween movie.
Sure.
But also has a deeper theme to it in the theme of dealing with tragedy, trauma, etc. It really opens up Laurie in a way, like gives us a more of an insight into who she becomes as a person, because of what happened. So,
and I mean, I can't think of any other movie franchise in horror where we get to see the same person playing the same character 40 years later.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know that that's ever happened.
Yeah, seeing the long-term lasting effects of what happened in the original movie, usually because a lot of those original characters in franchises get killed.
Yeah, that's
like in the next movie.
The next movie they start out by killing that person.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that is a real interesting experiment to go back to a character 40 years later and see where they are after all this terrible stuff happening.
Yeah, definitely so.
And I liked it. I recommend it. I hope everybody will go into it with an open mind.
Yeah.
I know some people aren't going to like it. That's fine.
Sure. If you're thinking on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you putting the thing?
Oh, man, that's
the original's a 10. Let's be honest.
The original's a 10. That's a tough one. I would need to see it again to really give it an accurate rating, but I wouldn't say I can't say it's anything below an 8. For sure.
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking 8 right now. I was thoroughly riveted. There were some great super tense moments and stuff in the movie that kept me glued to it. They stayed away from supernatural shit.
That's great.
They stayed away from overly convoluted plots and stuff.
Oh, that is an element, by the way, that we should point out.
Yeah.
That Michael Myers takes damage.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
He's human. Like, there's none of that concept that there's some paranormal or supernatural element to it.
And one more thing, too. I love the way that Myers is on screen. He is this powerful, hulking presence, but he's not invincible or anything like that.
He's just scary.
Yeah.
Like, it's back to the original. Like, he's just scary because of his big, imposing frame and the blankness of the mask, and
which you could even say
of the eyes.
Is maybe something they took from the Rob Zombie movies, because in those movies Myers is like a Hulk.
Yeah, it's true. And also as we said, this has a level of brutality. It doesn't go into like torture porn type of stuff.
No.
But it has a level of brutality that did remind me fondly of the things I liked about Rob Zombie's Halloween, because the brutality that he added. It's go see it. Just go see it.
Yeah.
Just don't even think about it. Go see it. If you hate it, let us know. If you love it, let us know.
Yeah, definitely.
If you're ambivalent about it, let us know. We'd like to know what you think, because I really think after having seen it that people are going to enjoy this movie a lot.
I know that I did.
Yeah.
Well, Steve, I'd like to remind these wonderful people to
those people
like this video, like this podcast, subscribe to this video, subscribe to our podcast, rate us on iTunes.
You're looking cute.
Click like on YouTube. Ring the bell on YouTube. Don't ring the bell on iTunes. I don't know what that means.
No, I don't know what that bell is. There a bell?
I don't know. If there is, don't touch it.
But if you want to listen to the song Ring My Bell,
Anita Ward's got your back.
Anita Ward's always got your back.
Where can they find us on the internet, Steve?
At Dead Lovely Pod on the Twiddles and Instagroodles. We have a Facebook group, Dead
we love it.
Horror Movie Podcast.
We want you.
And you can always email us at deadandlovely@gmail.com.
Go drink beer at Pretentious.
By the way, it's deadandlovelypod@gmail.com. I messed it up.
You got it now, though.
I got it.
Now you have it. Well, guys, thank you so much for tuning in and listening and watching. You guys have been fantastic. We have been dead and flimmy.
Bye.
Bye now.
This is only for the YouTube. Hi. It's me, Steve.
Rolly chairs.
We're rolly chairing around.
Rolly chairs.
Rolling, 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 rolling. What?